Good old West Virginia, country roads take me home. Sprawling mountains, hills and valleys as far as I can see, and let's not forget incest and murder. Amanda McClure and John McGuire were a couple who were staying in Minnesota. The pair had planned on travelling to West Virginia to link up with Amanda's dad Larry and sister Anna. The pair began the 1,000-mile or so trip to West Virginia, however they did not make it. And no, they ain't dial ready, however their car did break down in Indiana. It's from here that Larry and Anna came to the rescue, picking them up and taking them the rest of the way back to West Virginia, whose house they were going to be staying at. Now, thinking about it, rescued may be just slight of an exaggeration, given events that were going to unfold. Now, let's talk about Larry McClure's past real quick, because it's important. Larry McClure's relationship with his two daughters was, well, an estranged one, to say the least. He was convicted of first-degree sexual assault of a family member between the ages of 6 and 12 on July 22nd, 1998. The girls were then adopted. Following this, Larry then spent 17 and a half years in jail for his crime, only reconciling with his daughters after his release. It's apparent that they didn't want anything to do with him, given Anna's comment on Facebook. So now you can already tell that he's a sick piece of shit of a human being. After being picked up, they travelled a further 450 miles or so to Skagastay, West Virginia, with no vehicle faults this time round. A place called Skagastay in West Virginia? Yikes, I wonder what could go wrong. The four of them spent 10 days together doing their thing in Skagastay, and I don't know exactly what that could have involved, but nonetheless, February 14th had just rolled round. That's right, it was Valentine's Day. So, they're chilling, having a cute ass Valentine's Day as a family, having steak, some potatoes, a nice bottle of wine, whatever else you do on Valentine's Day. Life's good. And then, well, shit hit the fan, real fast. From seemingly out of nowhere, Amanda smashes the bottle of wine over her own boyfriend John's head. And who said romance is dead? Why would Amanda, John's own girlfriend, hit him over the head with a bottle of wine on Valentine's Day? Well, we gotta go way back. The first key component of this whole story is good old fashioned methamphetamine. After being picked up by Larry and Anna, John and Amanda were coming down pretty hard from it. So what is there to do when you run out of meth? That's right. Whip up some more. Now, these two weren't no Heisenberg and Jesse, and their shit did not crystallise, meaning for us non-meth heads out there it was not safe to use. However, they decided to keep it for later because waste not, whatnot, I guess. At some point between the 10 days from when they arrived on Valentine's Day, John decided to confess his love for Larry's daughter to him and his intent to marry her. Now, this did not sit well with Larry at all. There's a million and one reasons someone would not want a man to marry their daughter. It could be deadbeat, criminal record, no respect, the options are endless, but I can assure you this reason was a bit more out of pocket. Larry McClure would go off to the side in a quiet rage, infuriated at the news of John's plans, and the reason for all this? He wanted his own daughter all to himself. Yep, in that way. So, that Valentine's Day comes round and they trick John into some kind of fucked up Houdini trust game where John was tied up. When incapacitated, Amanda struck him because in fact she too had lustful feelings towards her own dad. That's right, the pair wanted John out the way so that they could be together. From here the trio beat John for days, eventually injecting him with the dodgy meth from earlier. They were all so fried that they thought John was a federal informant, repeatedly demanding him to tell them who he was. In their eyes, the meth was a truth serum that would make John spill the beans on the truth. This, however, gave John superhuman strength, and they struggled to contain him any further. It's from here after 3 days of hell that they made the decision to put him out of his misery, with the responsibility falling to Anna, who eventually choked him to death using a garbage bag. After killing John, Amanda continued to cash his social security checks and even posted on his Facebook a couple times. They decided to bury John in the backyard of the home, only to dig him up 6 days later to desecrate his body even further. Amanda was somehow convinced John was still alive and had Larry drive stakes through his body using a sledgehammer. It's from here with John well and truly out of the way that things go from weird to just beyond even comprehensible. On the 11th of March 2019, the trio head from West Virginia to the United Methodist Church, where Amanda McClure and Larry McClure got fucking married. Yes, he married his own daughter. Now, I'd just like to add, whatever you think about Virginia, parents and kids under absolutely no circumstances are allowed to marry. They pulled a fly one on the priest that day, and their only witness, you guessed it, Anna. So they're now happily married, honeymoon pending. Where did it all go wrong? Larry McClure was questioned for failing to register as a sex offender in West Virginia, and let's just say when questioned by the police, he let the cat out of the bag and then some. Boy, I can only imagine the officer's face.
On September 24th, 2019, we were advised of this crime by Larry Paul McClure. We did respond to the residence where the crime occurred, and the victim's remains were found on the property.
He told the West Virginia police that he and his biological daughter were in an incestuous relationship and married. He then told the authorities he knew where missing man John McGuire was buried because he and his daughters were in fact the ones who put him there. Based off the information he had gave them, the police located the body of John McGuire at 11715 Sky Goose Highway, Sky Goose, West Virginia.
Here at the scene, we discovered a path leading to some disturbed ground that looks a lot like a shallow grave.
All three were then arrested and taken into custody. The trial then began, and a bombshell was dropped in court. Well, not literally, but it was revealed that John McGuire had in fact dated Amanda's biological sister, Anna, before her. John, in an affair with Anna, produced a child, Larry told the court. Anna then told Amanda that she and John had an affair, and that they too had a child. Now, this was all new to Amanda. She had no idea of a past affair or a child. This is what made them want John McGuire dead. He played both sides of the net, and in their eyes he had to pay. Amanda, according to Larry, had the main role in the crime, dubbing her the female Charles Manson. Larry McClure wrote this letter in regard to the trial. It read, "I just want it over. No trial, no taxpayers' money spent for a trial. It is hard for the state of West Virginia to fight against itself because I plead guilty/no contest. Thank you for your time on this matter. Signed, Larry Paul McClure Sr." Larry McClure was sentenced to life with zero possibility of parole on the 12th of August 2020. In court, Amanda pointed the finger at her dad, stating, "John McGuire was killed because he was with me. My dad didn't want anyone else near me." She was sentenced to 40 years in prison for second-degree murder. Anna too was sentenced to 40 years in prison. This whole story from start to finish is a mess. In the end, they're pointing the finger at each other. Was it because of John and Anna's affair, or because of Larry's own personal lust for his daughter? In my eyes, it's both, and when they collided in the end, it resulted in an unthinkable outcome, that of incest and murder. I guess it's true what they say, reality is often stranger than fiction.